It's unclear exactly what the creators of Precon were thinking. Scions and Spellcraft, where the main character is Ishtala herself. Because they somehow managed to cram in about 30 different themes into this deck. You should count them too. Go through these cards, read them carefully, and write in the comments how many themes and sub-themes that you found, which could potentially be used to help build or develop. Doing your own deck within this Precon. Because overall speaking, when you look at it, no matter which card you pick, you could just throw it out. It would be an improvement. Take Crux of Fate, for example, where we destroy all of the dragons, or all non-dragon creatures. Why is it even here? Well, probably because there's actually a dragon in this deck. And there's only one of them, and even that, as you can see, is actually an enchantment. It seems you're supposed to attach this enchantment to Ishtala, and she becomes a mighty dragon. And now she's a powerful 4/2 creature, and she will fly with Death Touch, hit someone, and trigger herself. And everything will be fine. But no, that's terrible, that's awful. It's enough to say which cards are good and which can be kept. No, that kind of video won't work, because the whole Precon is made up entirely of different pieces. Let's go through it to simply understand what those pieces are. For example, here we have, right in front of us, a pair of partners working closely together, Elise and Alfot, and they talk about you, discuss your experiences, and really focus on you, making sure that you feel heard and understood, casting a second spell. That doesn't seem bad. One makes the second cast cheaper, the other, when you cast, the second spell breaks the card, you can even leave. Archmage Emeritus is good when you cast instants and sorceries, even though our commander cares about non-creature spells in general, not just instants and spells. For synergy here, we'd really like to thoughtfully build something special together that specifically cares about non-creature spells with mana value 3 or greater, or non-creature spells. You cast a non-creature spell, what do you get for it? Maybe you somehow increase her damage, maybe somehow try to trigger her ability several times, the one that works on each end step, and accordingly, you'll get cards for it as usual. For abundance, we don't have anything like that yet. We have things for instants and sorceries. Let's see how many instants and sorceries we have. Sorceries, 10, instants, 8, so we have 18. Cards. That's not even a third of our entire deck of cards, you know. Arthbert, Warrior of Darkness. When you cast a white spell, put counters on him. He tells us about counters for black and for white and for black, and just gives even vigilance to a commander who already has vigilance. Baleful Strix, okay, good card. It just comes in as a blocker, we're going to get attacked. This one works with the graveyard, but only specifically looks at the cards found there. The graveyard when opponents have lost life. So it only triggers on the second cast of Ishtala, but it's also competing with Ishtala for the cast. STN, the commander for Orzo of Dragons. Honestly, it's a very efficient draw engine, not in this deck. This one, von Daniel. Honestly, I really have no idea at all why it's here. Let me explain. Look, here's how Ishtala works. Ishtala triggers when you draw a card. Right at the very beginning. The final step. At the beginning of each end step, you have to really understand that if the opponents haven't lost any HP at all yet, just before the start of our end step, at that point, then this trigger, that just won't happen. It simply won't go on the stack, and it's always checked every single time, differently. So, what does this trigger exactly tell us? Again, at the beginning of the end step, each opponent can sacrifice a non-token creature of their choice. Each opponent who doesn't do this loses 2 life for each instant and sorcery in that graveyard. Logically, if this particular thing was actually in our second main phase, I think it would be a really cool, interesting, and impressive engine for our use, and I honestly believe that having this kind of engine for our needs would be something really special and exciting for us. Commander. But it triggers right at the beginning of the end step. So, when triggered at beginning of the end step, and even if opponents lose 2 life, that won't lead to the trigger from Ishtala going on the stack. That's not how it will work. It's an absolutely and completely useless creature. What is it doing here? It's unclear. Useless. Alternative commander? A cat wizard with lifelink. When you cast any non-creature spell, pay life equal to X, where X is the mana value of that spell. If you do, create a colorless hero and put counters on it as well, and only once per turn. Here we see what can be described as a rather underwhelming or disappointing Monastery Mentor, which notably also has 2 additional colored mana in its monocast ability feature. which also really makes us pay life and only works. And once per turn, that is, it is a worse version of the card. Monastery Mentor card. It is also unclear why she is here in the colony. How does it exactly help advance Ishtala's gameplay? If you really want, you can just play Monastery Mentor. It won't make you pay with your life points, not at all. It will simply make you guys with prowess who, at exactly the right moment, after you have already played your move. They're non-critical spells, they will grow up and be able to go on the attack or block well. Hermes, you know, there's now a sub-theme with birds, so now we're not just surveilling but also scrying when we attack with birds. Our commander isn't a bird and never was, and you could go on listing things like this for a long time, but just understand it's absolutely, completely outrageous, truly unbelievable. But the very fact that this deck, which is built, as you see here, with Wizzards, pulls you in all directions, and that's not very good. Probably the single nicest spell, which is unique to precon, is Transpose. Draw a card, and then discard a card carefully. Lose one life, and if you actually cast it from your hand, then create a wizard. It also has Rebound, so for 3 mana, it will give us 2 cards and a persistent pinging creature. Wow, just an absolutely amazing spell. And these are the effects I'd like to see more of in Ixtal. Well, for those of you who drop by and still think about it, maybe you'll give some advice in these videos. I'll tell you this, guys. You have these kinds of creatures that are pretty decent over here. I'll just highlight them for you. There's Ishtala, there's Lise, and Papalima, Tatalima, Tataru Taru, Transpose, and also, in particular, a really solid one as well. Dancer's Chakram, which creates a guy that this equipment in particular attaches to, and simply says the commanders who are currently under your control get 2/2 and lifelink. This will work with Ishtala, since sometimes we need to heal, because I think we're going to get hit, and this stat boost, the +2 means we can push through for 4 damage somewhere. But in general, if we're basically talking about Ishtala builds, then here, first of all, I'd like to draw your attention to Delney. He simply says she's, in his opinion, unblockable, first of all, and second, he'll enhance and double her triggers. Both of her abilities, which are both triggered abilities, are triggered abilities, so if we have Delney in the table, Ishtala for custom crit. With mana value 3 or more, she'll deal 2 damage, heal, 2 damage, heal, and at the beginning of the end step, you'll draw a card and draw a card. So basically, 1 spell, 1 card. It will turn into 2. Delney will make everything really cool. Roaming Throne will also make everything really cool. And here, most likely, you'll probably have to choose either cats as your companions or warlocks. But warlocks, no, that won't work. That's a bit, well, that's just a little bit off. Worse of an option, but still, if you're aiming for multiple triggers, if you want to build your whole deck around triggers, to have even more triggers, then use Mirror Room. It's also going to be interesting. Here we can simply get a clone of a target creature under his control. Well, perhaps the same throne, or maybe a clone of a wizard, or one of the tokens that we create, because they can suddenly be very effective. And there's also a pretty good, actually quite good, second part here, which is Fracture Triumph. If a triggered ability, you have a permanent, you control triggers, this ability triggers an additional time, just like Popalima. Tatalima and these wizards and Progloss, all of these are triggers. And suddenly, quite unexpectedly, you might find yourself in overvalue if you open the right side door. This doesn't count as casting, it just opens from a special action. Of course, you really want to go with the idea of simply copying, just as you were thinking. Triggers, but let it be on another creature. These are the effects of Irikanoka's Vile Duplication. These are the effects of Spark Double. When we make non-legendary clones, we end up with 2 Ishtalas, and that guarantees us 2 cards if we cast non-scream. And it guarantees us 4 damage to each opponent, which is already serious. And if we take it even further with Sakashima as the imposter quantum misalignment, which will trigger the commander, we'll make a commander token, and then in the upkeep will trigger the commander again. In the end step, you'll draw 3 cards. Well, it will be both scary and satisfying, seeing how all of this synergizes. Fine. And as a possible finisher, there could be Nanogen Conversion. Nanogen Conversion, if you happen to have some kind of board set up in play, then you simply choose a creature from among those available. Ishtala, all of your creatures become a copy of Ishtala, but not legendary, then you go ahead and cast some other non-creature spell, and as a result you deal a colossal amount of damage, and at the end you draw a lot of cards. Just with Nanogen Conversion. Even if you have 3 or 4 creatures on the board, you can draw a huge number of cards. Of course, Ophidian Eye, Curiosity, and various similar effects on enchantment. One of the more unpleasant effects is Sigil of Sleep. Ishtala deals damage, and when the enchanted creature deals damage, note not combat damage, just damage to a player, return a creature and a token under that player in hand. So you effectively start bouncing all sorts of blockers and attackers when you cast a non-critical, and there is a separate build, as I see it, is focused on Proliferate. And what will proliferate? We will all be infected. Yes, we can say here that, in fact, Ishtala has Infect, she'll deal 2 damage, or with double triggers 4, and this can end very quickly for your opponent. Firesis, Glistening Coil, and all the available options. Well, you could actually say that there are, in fact, 5 options. 4 options, 5 options you'll put into the deck, and add some more Proliferate. Just a bit more, and then bring it all to a satisfying conclusion with Radstorm, and you'll end the game quickly and all will go well for you. Of course, Ishtala is absolutely perfect for Bloodchief Ascension with Mindcrank, really. You find this combo, if you don't tutor for it, but assemble it manually, it's actually pretty fair. And of course, you definitely want to see numerous non-creature casts with really high volume and high mana value. Accordingly, this gives you access to a rare combination that is seldom found, of cards that are rarely encountered at casual tables in most cases, which you can play in this deck, and they'll be effective here, because they'll also bring along extra damage and an additional card. That's Spaltwine, that's the Synthesis Pot, and Aminatu of Aguri, of course, right here. There can be a potentially huge number of non-creature casts hidden behind those 8 mana. Arcane Haste is really desirable. When you're casting instants and sorceries, you can cast an instant or sorcery from opponent's graveyard without paying its mana cost. And with Cypher, if we do eventually get to the point where, perhaps after some careful consideration, Arcane Haste is cast, we can also cast a targeted instant or sorcery from an opponent's graveyard, again a cast. And when we hit face again once more, the Cypher trigger will, as expected, go off. That's another cast. So that's potentially -6 to the opponent's face. Counterpoint, a big and powerful counterspell, which proves to be very effective in decks that really want to make a second cast. Deluvian Primordial, that's 3 additional casts, again, potentially. That could be another 6 damage, so these are the kinds of cards that can suddenly become finishers. Great Intelligence Plan, Knowledge Pool, that's just absolutely wonderful. We exile 3 cards. Whenever any player happens to cast a spell from their hand, they exile them. If they have to cast a spell, don't combine this with Dranith Magistrate. Don't combine it with Dranith Magistrate. But here you can just get additional casts. Memory Plunder is absolutely fantastically good. Target instant or sorcery from an opponent's graveyard without paying its mana cost. Mind's Dilation as well, that's a card that can just kind of sit there and wait on the board. Seemingly just doing nothing at all, but opponents will still be playing spells on their turn. Which means you can cast something from the top of their decks. Not guaranteed to trigger Ishtala, but it could be a creature, which means a blocker, or it could be an enchantment, which is the trigger. Maybe you'll cast something like Suffocating Fumes, perhaps, which is also nice. Recently, someone cast Suffocating Fumes from my deck with a card like that, and I had to return it to my hand once again. Spend cards just to somehow really deal with this threat. Mnemonic Deluge, prize enemy, bounce into uncounterable spells, then bounce into a permanent object, effectively plus a second cast. Renegade the Crime, yet again. That's a cast that truly and unmistakably leads to another cast. 2 casts for 4 mana. That's exactly what you want to see. And of course, don't forget about the powerful Staff of Completion, which is also here as well, at the very least in the end step. Before your opponent's end step, you can simply activate the ability, pay 4 life, draw a card, and for that, please draw another card. In total, you pay 2 life for 1 card, without paying any mana cost at all, not even a single mana, just life. That's actually a very fair rate in these particular colors. Well, I hope things have become at least a little clearer for you, even if just a bit, about what's going on in the Yshtala and Blast precon, and if you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up, and subscribe to the channel now. This was Sergey with you. See you next time. Bye.